Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really fascinating, a concept that kind of pushes back against what we usually think about success. We're calling it quantity as a path to quality.
Right. We all hear quality over quantity, don't we? It's almost a mantra.
Exactly. But what if that's, well, not the whole story. What if putting out a high volume of work is actually the key, the engine that fuels real excellence, maybe even the secret sauce?
It's a challenging idea.
It is. And we're exploring this using insights from Coach Ed Padalecki, specifically from his Day 92 of 1% Better Daily series.
And that builds nicely on work by Adam Grant, the organizational psychologist, from his book Originals. Really solid stuff.
Totally. So our mission here is pretty clear. Pull out the critical, actionable insights from this for you, especially if you're a high-performing business pro, an athlete, someone looking to speed up that path to mastery.
Makes sense.
Okay, so Coach Padalecki starts with this great anecdote. You might have heard it, but stick with us. The implications are big. Imagine a pottery class. The teacher lays out the grading. To get an A, you don't make one perfect pot. You just have to produce 50 pounds of pots. Just sheer weight, volume. Think about that mindset shift. It's not about stressing over one flawless piece. It's about the making, the doing, over and over. You're not waiting, you're producing, building momentum through action.
That simple rule, it's more than just a teaching trick, isn't it? It's a whole paradigm shift. It forces you, especially if you're wired for perfection right out of the gate, to completely rethink your approach. It changes the game from waiting for that perfect lightning strike of genius to just producing, knowing brilliance will emerge from the production.
Okay, so that sets the stage. Understanding how this kind of counterintuitive idea can really redefine success in high-performance fields, whether you're building a product, coaching, training. So let's unpack this more. How does that pottery class rule? How does it actually connect to real-world innovation, to elite performance?
Well, this is where Adam Grant's research in Originals, which Coach Padalecki leans on, is so powerful.
He really tackles that quality versus quantity thing head on.
He does. And what the work shows is, well, that whole idea that they're opposites, it's basically a myth. Grant's research found that the most groundbreaking innovator, the big names, your Beethovens, Picassos, Shakespeare's, they weren't just brilliant, they were unbelievably prolific, like mind-bogglingly productive.
Prolific, that's the key word.
Absolutely. Their genius didn't just appear in one flash. It came out of a huge volume of work. Constant experimentation, iteration, refinement. Think about it. You generate this vast pool of ideas, of creations. Some won't work. Many will be average. But out of that sheer volume, the breakthroughs, the truly exceptional stuff, that's where it comes from.
Like Picasso, right?
Right.
Didn't he make something like thousands of pieces?
Over 50,000 works of art. Not all masterpieces, obviously, but the volume massively increased the odds of hitting real genius.
That's, wow. It really is counterintuitive, especially because we're often trained, maybe even hardwired, to perfect things. That proposal, the workout plan, the strategy doc.
Right. Polish it until it shines before anyone sees it.
Yeah. Hold back until it's flawless. But this idea of just massive output makes you question that whole process. What really jumps out to you about that, thinking about the pressure to be perfect in high-stakes jobs?
It exposes a huge misconception, I think. We see the final product, the masterpiece, the winning play, the successful company, and we assume it just happened like that, perfectly formed.
Yeah, we miss the backstory.
Exactly. We miss the mountain of drafts, the failed attempts, the average stuff that came first. So this insight, it's liberating. It frees you from that paralysis of perfectionism. It basically says, the faster you produce, the faster you get feedback, learn, adapt, and the faster you actually get to excellence.
So for a business leader, maybe that's like launching an MVP, a minimum viable product, quickly, getting real feedback instead of hiding away for years perfecting it.
Precisely. Or for an athlete, it's doing hundreds of reps in practice. Maybe they're not all perfect, but each one refines muscle memory, tactical thinking, builds that foundation.
Okay, that makes total sense. So if volume is the path, what does this really mean day to day for someone, say, training for an Ironman, or a CEO leading a complex company, or an entrepreneur launching something new?
Right. And this leads straight into what Coach Padalecki calls the performance psychology takeaway. Repetition builds greatness.
Repetition builds greatness. I like that.
It's powerful. Coach Padalecki frames it almost like a universal law for peak performance, cutting across all these fields. Consistency creates mastery. Volume drives brilliance.
Consistency creates mastery. Volume drives brilliance. Okay.
It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's the steady, relentless output. And Grant actually quotes Stanford's Robert Sutton on this, which Coach P highlights.
What does Sutton say?
Sutton says original thinkers will come up with many ideas that are strange mutations, dead ends, and utter failures.
Okay. Sounds risky.
But wait, he continues. The cost is worthwhile because they also generate a larger pool of ideas, especially novel ideas.
So the failures aren't really failures. They're part of the process.
Exactly. They're not just part of the volume, they're a necessary part, an essential byproduct of generating something truly new and exceptional. It reframes failure completely.
And it's not just academics saying this. You mentioned Ira Glass earlier.
The creator of This American Life, amazing storyteller.
He basically says the same thing for creative work, right? Something like,
The most important possible thing you could do is do a lot of work. Do a huge volume of work. It's striking, isn't it?
it really is. Psychology, creativity, sports, they all land on this same core idea. Produce a lot. It's like a universal cheat code.
It kind of is. And when you connect this directly to, say, sports psychology and high performance, the link is immediate and obvious.
Okay, how so?
We'll take deliberate practice. We talk about that a lot. It absolutely demands volume, but also intense focus, right? Intentionality.
Sure, you can't just go through the motions.
Right. You don't become elite doing something perfectly once. You get there by doing it with purpose, again and again and again. Refining every little detail. Pushing past your comfort zone. That volume creates the space for that deep, focused learning.
Okay, that makes sense for skill building. What else?
Then there's mental toughness. That's not something you're just born with.
Definitely not.
It's forged. It's built through repetition under pressure. Those consistent reps, the daily grind, the tough training sessions, that's what makes you comfortable with setbacks, with things not going perfectly.
It builds resilience.
Exactly. Resilience for iteration, for course correction. When you consistently push yourself, you adapt, you learn, you reinforce the belief you can perform even when it's hard. A coach knows this. Putting athletes through high-volume, tough scenarios builds that game day execution.
Right. And you mentioned creativity. How does volume help there, especially under stress?
Yeah. Creativity under stress actually gets better when you're already in motion. Putting out volume. It's like a chain reaction. Quantity leads to flow. Flow leads to insights.
Quantity, flow, insight. Okay.
When you're actively producing a lot, your brain is constantly working, problem solving. That continuous engagement, especially with real-world pressures, often pushes you into that flow state.
Our ideas just connect.
Yeah, that deep focus where solutions emerge almost intuitively. Volume creates the conditions for those insights. You don't get them just sitting and theorizing. Think of a salesperson making call after call, then suddenly finding a new angle mid-conversation. Or a leader writing multiple versions of a strategy paper and finding the breakthrough in version 3.
It really is a different way of thinking. Volume builds resilience, fosters innovation.
Yeah.
It makes you okay with the messiness of the process.
Instead of being stuck, paralyzed, chasing that one perfect thing.
Yeah. It's permission to just do. Trust the process. Okay, so here's where it gets really practical. Moving from theory to, how does this actually look on the ground? With elite athletes, top execs. Coach Padalecki observes this pattern consistently. These top performers, they don't wait around for the perfect moment. They don't wait for lightning to strike.
No, they create.
They create momentum through action. They know inaction is the real enemy.
That's it exactly. Coach P nails it when he says, volume is the gateway to insight and excellence. It's not just doing more stuff. There's a crucial why behind it.
Okay, what's the why?
Well, first, the more you do, the more chances you create for those unexpected wins, those breakthroughs you'd never find just thinking. It's like planning a strategy versus actually deploying it and learning from what happens.
Makes sense. More shots on goal.
Kind of. Second, consistent output. It builds real confidence, and it chips away at perfectionism. When you commit to volume, you quickly learn everything doesn't have to be perfect. You trust the process of improving, not just the final outcome. It makes it psychologically safer to try stuff, even fail fast.
And you said a third thing, about the nervous system.
This is critical for high performers. High volume literally trains your nervous system to trust motion over hesitation.
Builds an action bias.
Exactly. An instinct to act, move forward, make the next rep, send the email, launch the pilot. Instead of getting stuck analyzing forever, it's a muscle you build through repetition.
That really resonates, building that bias for action. So, okay, let's bring this right home for everyone listening, make it super tangible. Coach Padalecki has this great prompt in his 1% Better Daily. He asks you directly, what's the creative pot you're waiting to perfect?
Good question.
Maybe it's that business idea that feels too big, that fitness goal, that difficult conversation you keep avoiding.
We all have something like that, probably.
Right. So instead of waiting for perfect, waiting for brilliance, the question becomes,
The question is, what small, consistent action can I take right now? Right now, to increase my output, generate more ideas, just get in more reps.
not a giant leap, just starting the motion.
Just starting that continuous stream of pots, knowing that's what leads to mastery.
And Coach P gives really concrete examples, like just send the draft proposal, even if it's only 80%. Iterate later.
Or sketch version 1 of that product feature. Don't wait for the perfect blueprint.
Or for a coach, run 5 drills, even if only 3 work well. The exposure matters.
Or just hit publish, hit send, hit record on that thing you've been sitting on.
The core message from Coach P, whatever it is, just get it out.
Get it out there. Start the feedback loop.
And for you, listening as a learner, this applies directly. Taking those consistent small actions, reading the next chapter, trying the skill, asking the question, that's the fastest way to learn and get those aha moments. You build knowledge by doing.
Absolutely. Active engagement.
Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. Let's boil it down. The core message seems simple, but it feels really transformative.
It is.
Success isn't really about chasing that immediate perfect moment of brilliance. It's about consistency. It's about volume.
That's the heart of it. And Coach Padalecki leaves us with such a powerful final thought. It sums it all up, and it should really stick with you.
What is it?
He says, don't aim to be brilliant today. Aim to be consistent.
Okay.
Because the people who eventually become brilliant are the ones who just kept making more pots.
Wow. The ones who just kept making more pots.
It's the compound effect, right? Small, consistent actions accumulating over time. That's where mastery and breakthroughs come from, not usually from one magic moment.
So that really leaves a final thought for you listening to chew on as you go about your work, your coaching, your training. How might embracing this idea, consistent high-volume action, how might that fundamentally redefine your path to innovation, to peak performance?
What's the one pot you'll commit to making today, even a small one?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Coach Ed Padalecki's really practical and powerful ideas. We hope you can start applying them to your own journey, maybe even starting with that 1% today.